So I'm not someone who goes camping. I'm not a happy camper or an unhappy camper. I'm just not a camper. I don't really go camping. I'm more of like a hoteler. So if you are a camper, then you might be interested in Force of Nature by Jane Harper. This book is about a bunch of people, 5 to be exact, that go on a corporate retreat where they're sort of forced to go and spend the weekend in the wilderness of Australia as a bonding experience. They're gonna, come out together closer. It's like a trust building, kind of team building corporate retreat. The problem is, one of the characters, like me, although hopefully I'm nothing like this woman, she's not a happy camper, and she's just a really unpleasant, difficult woman, and she's just very, she's got her heels on when she goes on the retreat and just makes life miserable for everyone, and she disappears. She disappears during the corporate retreat where they're supposed to bond in the wilderness. So it was a little bit like Gone Girl in that you read the book wondering, like, you don't even know if she died or if she was murdered. You just know that she disappeared in the wilderness. So I sort of spent the book waiting for her to come back. And I'm not going to ruin the ending for you or anything like that. But I will tell you that the book, Force of Nature by Jane Harper, is about some women that go in the wilderness on a retreat, and 5 of them, I think, go, and only 4 return. And so, there's this big search for the character who has disappeared. Now, if you're wondering, because maybe you're thinking, Miss Thomas likes Jane Harper. She just read The Dry by Jane Harper. And I did. I really liked The Dry a lot. And because I liked that book so much, I thought, hey, I think I'll give Jane Harper another shot because I really loved The Dry. Highly recommend it. This book, Force of Nature, it was also very, very good, but it wasn't the same book as The Dry. And I say that as a compliment. I liked that because you know how sometimes you read a book by an author and then it's like, okay, well, I like this author, but this is more the same. This was different. It was different from The Dry. However, the character, Aaron Falk, the FBI investigator from The Dry, is the main character in this book as well. So I really, really hope that Jane Harper will have a series about Aaron Falk because I loved it. I just love it. For those of you who don't know, Aaron Falk is this, I believe he's a forensic accountant. He's like an FBI investigator that solves murders so far. I mean, I've only read 2 of her books. The Dry was her debut. Fantastic. I still keep thinking, like, how is that her first book? I mean, it's so good. And then this one, so there's a 3rd one, and I don't know if that's Aaron Falk or not. But in these 2, he's investigating. The first one was a murder. This one, well, they're both like, was it even a murder? You don't even get to know that. So he's investigating because he has a real ability to solve mysteries by following the money. And I like that aspect. That's an interesting nuance to literature. So I'm not going to read you a big drawn out passage. I'm just going to read you like the very, very beginning in the prologue. It's actually the first few sentences in the book. And it says, this is how the story begins. I'm really impressed with this author. It says, later, the 4 remaining women could fully agree on only 2 things. 1, no one saw the bushland swallow up Alice Russell. And 2, Alice had a mean streak that could cut you. So then it gets into the story of Alice Russell and her colleagues and how they go on this retreat in the wilderness where they're supposed to bond. And you sort of get into the different views and different attitudes and styles of the different women. And of course, they're women that would not normally go anywhere together. So it's kind of interesting. And you find out that Alice Russell, the woman who disappeared, is a real bully. And one thing that I really liked about the book is sort of an interesting parallel is in some chapters you see Alice Russell as a bully, and then in other chapters you see like back at home, because there's separate perspectives. Back at home, her teenage daughter is, you guessed it, a bully. And Alice Russell bullies this woman at work, and go figure, the teenage daughter bullied that woman's daughter. So it was a really interesting parallel. You have, this corporate bully and her daughter bullying this other woman from the corporate world who's like the victim, her daughter. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective, it was sort of a unique way to frame the novel. Now, that wasn't the main premise of the novel, but it was a very interesting little thing that I thought Jane Harper put in there, and I really appreciated it and enjoyed it. Aaron Falk is, of course, investigating it because the corporation is under investigation. The FBI is trying to get the leaders of the corporation, and so this woman that disappeared, turns out she was the whistleblower. She was the person who had the information for Aaron Falk. So Aaron Falk is looking for her for his financial investigation because she had information that would help him with his FBI investigation into the company. So that's another thing. You're thinking like, oh, the people in the company probably, would want her dead because they stand to lose a lot if she turns them over to the FBI. But there were definitely other suspects, specifically the women that she bullied throughout the book. So I definitely recommend I definitely recommend Force of Nature by Jane Harper.